Disrespected Black CEO discovers incredible power. 2.7B joint venture transformed forever. Malik Johnson stood at the heart of downtown Chicago, the skyline gleaming above him, a reminder of the dreams he forged in the living room of his childhood home. He was a Black CEO navigating a space that often felt cold and unwelcoming. The energy company he led had the potential to bring light and power to the underprivileged neighborhoods, but the boardrooms he entered were filled with skeptical glances that echoed decades of prejudice. His heart raced with the weight of expectation, not just for himself, but for the legacy of integrity his family had built. As Malik dashed across the bustling streets, dodging honking cabs and street vendors shouting their daily specials, he felt a tightening in his chest. Love for his community fueled him, but the constant battles against corporate greed and systemic bias left him drained. The world around him felt loud, but he could hear his father's voice, a military veteran whose absence had shaped Malik's resolve. They had not spoken in years. Would they ever reconcile? His phone buzzed, breaking his daydream. It was his father, a number he thought would never call him again. "Malik, I'm back in town. We need to talk." A storm of emotions crashed through Malik. Could he really face the man who had left him with a complex legacy? Before he lost his nerve, he replied. They agreed to meet that evening. But first, he had a meeting that could secure the future of his renewable energy venture. A pitch to secure a $2.7 billion investment awaited him, and tensions were high. He had fought tooth and nail for this opportunity, knowing that success held the power to change lives. "This is it," he whispered to himself as he prepared his presentation, channeling every ounce of determination he had. Yet, the corner of his mind replayed moments of doubt, echoes of colleagues questioning his ideas, reducing them to mere products of a race they couldn't comprehend. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. His heart pounded wildly as he stood in front of the investors. The audience of suits held collective breaths, waiting. Malik could almost taste the skepticism hanging in the air. It was suffocating. Everyone else had sharpened their knives, ready to critique and lash out. But he had something they didn't: a purpose driven by the needs of his community. "Today is not just about a financial return," he began, his voice steady amidst the chaos in his heart. "It's about justice, it's about fairness. We need to uplift those who have been left behind." As he spoke, Malik felt a spark ignite within him. Desperation morphed into hope, and he could see heads nodding as the words sank in. Silent gasps resonated in the room, each audible breath giving him strength, each moment building the bridge between dollars and dreams. As he finished, a hush fell over the crowd. Every face was turned toward him, eyes tracing their way through his thoughts. Would they embrace the vision he desperately sought to share? In that pregnant stillness, Malik felt the weight of generations: his ancestors' hopes, his father's unspoken words, and the need for change. The air crackled with potential. Would he sway them, or would history repeat itself? The silence lingered like a heavy fog, wrapping around Malik as he stood at the front of the room. He searched the faces before him, seeking signs of understanding or at least recognition. The lead investor, a woman with sharp features and an even sharper gaze, was the first to speak. "You've certainly made a compelling case, Malik. But can you truly change the landscape of energy in underserved communities?" Malik felt the weight of the question push on his shoulders. This wasn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet, it was about people. "Yes," he responded, his voice stronger now. "I've seen the impact we can have. I've spoken to families who struggle daily to pay for basic utilities. We aren't just creating a product, we're creating a lifeline." There were murmurs in the room, a flicker of curiosity easing the tension. Malik's passion fed on their response. Imagine solar panels in every home, energy bills slashed in half. With the right investment, we can reshape futures. He continued, each word fueled by not only his convictions but now ignited by the memory of his father. Did his old man believe in him? Did he envision Malik as a bridge to change? That thought pushed him forward with renewed vigor. Every dollar you invest can transform lives, Malik insisted. This is an opportunity not just for profit but for legacy. He paused, scanning the room once more, allowing his vision to sit with them. The investor's brow furrowed. What makes you different from other companies that failed to deliver? Because I lived it. You can't put a price tag on genuine understanding, Malik replied, his heart pounding with urgency. Were you raised in a community like mine? Did you ever wonder if there would be enough power at the end of the month to keep the lights on? This project isn't just mine. It belongs to everyone who dreams of a better life. Around the room, he saw a shift. The nods grew more pronounced. Even the skeptics leaned forward just a little, like flowers reaching for sunlight. His passion, indeed, was thawing their resistance. Then, the sharp-featured investor glanced at her colleagues and let out a brief, contemplative hum. That has some power. She was looking deeper than surface profits, and perhaps there lay the flicker of interest. Malik seized the moment. If we work together, we can create jobs, drive innovation, and restore dignity to those communities suffocated by neglect. Every project in a low-income neighborhood means families can thrive, kids can dream without limits. When he finished, the applause wasn't thunderous, but it was sincere. Malik felt the rush of adrenaline surge through him. It felt almost euphoric. The ball was in their court, and he could sense the wheels turning. A few smiles crept through the somber business demeanor, and he knew he had sparked something. The moment hung there, a fragile thread woven from hope and desperation. But as he stepped down from his makeshift podium, Malik's phone buzzed again, breaking his focus. He glanced at it and saw his father's name flashing on the screen. The wave of emotion surged again. Could he face his father now? With the potential of new beginnings on both personal and professional fronts, the weight of the day collapsed back on him. Delayed by the moment, he hadn't noticed the investor approaching him, her expression no longer skeptical but intrigued. Are you available tomorrow? I think we need to discuss this further. His heart raced again, but now it was a different kind of fear, the fear of stepping into the unknown, of reconciling old wounds, both in boardrooms and living rooms. As Malik turned to answer her, the complexity of his story clicked into place. He had the chance to shape not just a future for himself but for those he held dear. This was the start of something monumental. But would he have the courage to embrace it all? Malik pondered, feeling the rise of anticipation and anxiety inside him. As he glanced back at his phone, the thought of his father looming large. Would he answer? Malik took a deep breath, feeling the air catch in his throat, the weight of his father's calls quietly urging him forward. He could ignore it, slip into the momentum of opportunity, indulge in that surreal moment of potential where everything seemed possible. Or he could confront the unresolved scars of his past, the hard truths about who he was and how far he had come. As the investor's question hung in the air, he glanced back at her, the intensity of the moment pulling his thoughts in two directions. Tomorrow? He echoed, his voice barely above a whisper. It could be the meeting that changed everything, his venture into a brighter future, sparking hope for communities like his own. Absolutely, she replied with a nod. I can feel the passion in your project. Let us make it happen. Malik forced a smile, aware that this was not just a pivotal moment in business but a potential crossroads for him personally. Who would he be if he finally succeeded in bridging this gap between his dreams and his reality? Before he could respond further, a sense of urgency shifted through his veins as he pressed his thumb against his father's name on the screen. It felt as heavy as a stone around his neck, yet liberating at the same time. With a quick breath, he accepted the call, hearing a familiar voice crackle through, worn yet resilient. Malik, his father's voice echoed, layered with both strength and fatigue. I've been trying to reach you. How did the pitch go? In that simple question, Malik felt layers of expectation unfurl. This wasn't just about a presentation, it was a lifetime of shared hopes, aspirations, and fears wrapped in those words. The ache in his chest tightened. It went well, Dad. I think they're interested. He paused, the silence creeping in. It felt heavier now. His father had always believed in him, even when Malik doubted his own worth. They want to talk more tomorrow, he added swiftly, wanting to fill the gap that silence had carved between them. Good, good. I knew you could do it, his father replied, pride tracing through each word. Malik imagined the flicker of hope lighting his father's eyes, a rare moment of reassurance they both needed, but beneath the surface, Malik could sense the hesitation in his father, a lingering concern that perhaps this was all too good to be true. You know, son, there's a lot of talk these days about being authentic. Don't forget where you came from. It's easy to get lost in the shine. Malik clenched his jaw, the advice sinking deeper. I won't forget. I promise. His father had always been the spirit of resilience, the man who worked late nights to keep the lights on, the same man who wrestled with the realities of their life while still fostering dreams of a brighter future. Malik struggled, the tightness in his chest threatening to crack open the sorrow and anger he had long hidden away. I wish you could believe in this as much as I do. The line was silent, and for a moment, Malik feared he would be met with doubt instead of support. I believe in you, son, just not always in the world, his father's reply came, filled with the weight of history and the burden of unfulfilled dreams. Malik let the moment wash over him, feeling the intricacies of their bond tethering them together across the miles and the years. Maybe this time it can be different, he murmured. A long pause followed before his father spoke again, softer and more contemplative. Just remember, the numbers don't mean anything if you lose sight of your heart. Malik considered those words, realizing that it wasn't just about profits or partnerships, it was the lives touched, the futures built, the legacy left. He felt the swelling urge to prove that they were more than statistics. Thanks, Dad. I'll keep that in mind, he promised, trying to channel his father's wisdom into a tangible effort. After hanging up, Malik felt a renewed sense of purpose. This moment of vulnerability with his father could not be in vain. As his mind raced back to the investor's interest, the applause, the budding possibility, he knew he had something powerful on his hands. But uncertainty still lingered. Would he be able to truly bridge the gap between hope and reality? And while professional fortune seemed to beckon, what personal sacrifices would arise on this unknown path? As he stood there, staring at the flickering screen of his phone, an unsettling question arose within him. The stakes felt impossibly high. Could he really change the course of history, of his family's story, or would he falter somewhere along the way? Malik's heart raced as he stared at the phone, the weight of his father's words echoing in his mind. The room felt tight, the walls closing in, but he drew in a deep breath, determined not to shrink back. Tomorrow would be the day, his first real chance to catapult himself beyond the shadows of doubt and into a world waiting for new ideas. As the night drew on, Malik found it hard to sleep. Thoughts spiraled around him. He envisioned that meeting, the investor's keen eyes focused on him, judgment tempered with hope. Visions of the changes he could bring to his community flooded his mind, but then the doubts crept in. What if he stumbled? What if this opportunity slipped through his fingers? He switched on the lamp, the warm glow illuminating the room, and the sketches sprawled across his desk. Ideas, half-formed concepts of mixed-use developments and community spaces, surrounded him like a constellation of possibilities. With each stroke of his pen, he began to refine his vision, pouring the essence of those aspirations into his sketches. Suddenly, his phone buzzed again. It was a text from his childhood friend, Malika. Big day tomorrow, huh? Remember the dreams we had on those playgrounds? You got this. A smile broke through the anxiety. Malika always stood as a reminder of simpler times, of dreams unbothered by the harsh reality of the world. They had grown up in the same neighborhood, dreaming of making it out, longing to bring something back. Her message reminded him of the hearts he carried with him. He wasn't just chasing numbers, he had a whole community behind him. The next morning came too soon, and Malik suited up, catching a glimpse of himself in the mirror. He straightened his tie, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. He practiced his pitch quietly, rehearsing the story of his community, the struggles and triumphs, all that fueled his passion. Everything was in his heart, just waiting to be spoken. Arriving at the meeting, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. The investor, a sharp woman named Laura, sat at the table, attentively reviewing his presentation. Malik felt his stomach flip. This meeting was not only a chance to secure funding, it was an opportunity to weave his father's dreams with his own. "Good morning, Malik," Laura said, looking up with a smile. "Let us get started." Malik launched into his pitch, his voice steady, his hands gesturing passionately. He spoke of economic empowerment, the potential for change, and the importance of community voices in shaping projects. The energy in the room shifted, he could feel it. People leaned in, captivated, but abruptly, a voice interrupted. "What is your plan to ensure this project serves our community and isn't just another wealth extraction scheme?" It came from a board member seated at the far end of the table. The accusation hung in the air, sharp and heavy. Malik's heart raced again. He lowered his gaze, contemplating his response. This was the question he feared, the chance to show he wasn't just another suit. "It's not just about profits for me," he began, channeling the weight of his father's lessons. "It's about accountability and empowerment. After all, I grew up there, I know what it lacks and what it desperately needs." As he spoke, he saw their expressions shift, interest sparking in their eyes, nods acknowledging his efforts. Still, doubt flickered at the edges of his mind. Would they truly recognize his commitment, or would they dig in their heels, dismissing him as another dreamer? As he shared his vision, he recalled his father's insistence on staying authentic. "If I can bring them in, if I can prove I mean it, then maybe, but would maybe be enough?" While the conversation flowed with renewed energy, Malik couldn't shake the weight of that earlier question. The meeting opened a path for new hope, but uncertainty still loomed. Could he affirm his plans solidly enough to dismantle their skepticism? He felt the tension, the challenge ahead of him. After all those years of dreaming, this was it. What would come of it all? Could one pitch redefine not just his future, but a community's destiny as well? As the meeting reached its crescendo, Malik took a deep breath, sensing the moment drawing near. Would he emerge victorious, claiming his story at last, or would they see him as just another shadow in the room? Malik held his breath as he wrapped up his pitch, the room buzzing with an energy he had never experienced before. Silence fell heavy after he finished, and Laura looked around, her expression neutral but thoughtful. His heart thudded so loud he felt like everyone could hear it, waiting for their reactions. "That was impressive," she said finally, breaking the tension. "You've clearly put a lot of thought into this project." The praise felt like a warm embrace, but he couldn't let it cloud the urgency still lingering in the air. Another board member, a man with a thick mustache and a skeptical glare, shifted in his seat. "But implementation is key, Malik. Words are easy. What's your roadmap? How will you ensure that this project doesn't just scratch the surface?" That question cut deeper than any of the previous doubts. Malik opened his mouth, searching for a way to articulate his vision. He knew this was the moment to show how his deep connection to the community forged his plans, the neighborhoods, the families, the struggles that echoed through his childhood. "I see this project as more than just an economic investment," he said, searching for the right words. "It's about building a framework for sustainable growth. I want to set up advisory councils made up of local residents, real stakeholders. Their voices will shape every phase of this development. It's crucial that they're involved, not just in planning but in executing." As he spoke, he noticed heads nodding. The skepticism began to fade, replaced with intrigue. He pressed on, pushing back against the doubt tightening his throat. And we'll create job training programs for the residents, ensuring that they not only benefit from these developments but actively contribute to them. This isn't charity, it's a partnership. Laura and the others leaned in closer. He could sense a shift, like the tide turning, a collective inhale of curiosity and potential. But just as hope surged within him, Malik felt a pang of fear. What if it was too late? What if he had lost them already with his earlier uncertainty? Suddenly, he recalled Malika's message from the night before. Her unwavering support surged through him like a jolt of electricity. He thought of the small playgrounds where they had played, their laughter echoing like a promise of what could still be. This wasn't just about him anymore, it was about every child dreaming of a brighter future. He straightened. If you invest in this project, you're investing in a community, a legacy that could influence lives for generations. We can change the narrative together. The board was silent again. Malik's heart raced, the anticipation was palpable, his hope hinged on their response. Finally, Laura broke the silence again. That's quite a vision. But where's the data to back it up? Where are the numbers? Malik's mind raced. I have projections, he responded, his breath steadying. I can show you how the incremental investments will lead to significant returns. But more importantly, I can promise that no dollar spent will be without purpose. I'm not just asking for funding, I'm proposing a partnership. The conversation shifted then. Questions flew in rapid succession: timelines, deliverables, metrics for measurement. For each question, Malik felt himself rising to meet the challenge, buoyed by a flicker of determination ignited by their interest. His initial anxiety transformed into something sharper, focused. As he prepared to answer the last question about community engagement strategies, something unexpected happened. A newcomer entered the room mid-discussion. It was a tall woman, her presence commanding attention. She paused, scanning the faces around the table, and Malik felt an instinctual wave of protectiveness wash over him. Something about her felt like a harbinger of change. "Forgive me for interrupting," she said, locking eyes with Laura. "I hope I'm not too late." Malik's heart pounded in his chest again. Who was she? What role did she play in this meeting? As the uneasy feeling settled in the room, he couldn't help but wonder, was she there to challenge him, or could she be the unexpected ally he never knew he needed? The narrative shifted in an instant, and Malik braced himself for what came next. Would this new force open doors, or would it complicate his already fraught path? The woman stepped forward, her gaze steady. Malik couldn't quite shake off the feeling that she had walked in with purpose. Every eye in the room turned to her as if she were the bolt of lightning cracking through the tense atmosphere. "Hi, everyone," she said, her voice smooth yet confident. "I'm Camille, and I've been following your project closely, Malik." There was a collective intake of breath. Some faces bore curiosity, others skepticism. Malik swallowed hard, confusion dancing in his mind. Camille knew about his proposal? How? Was she a potential investor, or something else entirely? "Camille, is it?" Laura scrunched her brow. "While we're in the middle of an important discussion, could we circle back to you a little later?" "Actually," Camille interjected, "I think my insights could add value right now. Malik's vision is ambitious, and the community audience is vital. But without operational structure, ambition can lead to disappointment." Malik felt a rush of frustration. He'd just been gaining ground, feeling like the tide had turned in his favor. Now, this newcomer was redirecting the focus entirely. But as he glanced at the board members, he noticed their expressions again shifting. A mix of intrigue and expectation washed over their faces. "What do you mean, operational structure?" the skeptical man asked, leaning forward, the mustache twitching. Camille straightened her posture and continued, "I've seen many initiatives like this fail because, while the heart is in the right place, the logistics are forgotten. You need a clearly defined action plan, roles, timelines, accountability. Otherwise, it's just a nice idea." Each word seemed to drill deeper into Malik's chest. He had come in with ideas rooted in connection and family, yet here was Camille, reminding him of the hard truths lurking beneath every good intention. But this plan isn't just numbers, Malik challenged, his voice steady. It's about lives, families. It's about real change. Exactly, Camille replied, unlatching the briefcase she carried. That's why I believe in maintaining the heart while emphasizing the brain. Partnerships need both. If you're willing to collaborate, I can help lay the groundwork. Malik watched as she pored over the documents, budgets, potential timelines, roles for community leaders. It was grounding, tangible, something he hadn't presented. Had he put too much faith in emotional connections, neglecting the essential structure? A collective murmur passed through the board members, curiosity piqued. Malik felt a jolt of anxiety. Had he underestimated the importance of these factors? Are you suggesting that we take a step back? Laura asked, her eyebrow raised. Camille met her gaze with unyielding strength. I'm suggesting that by gaining clarity and adding rigor to the passion, they can work in harmony. This project can resonate even beyond its initial intention. Malik's heart raced. He wanted to yell, to reject her implication that he somehow skipped a beat in this grand symphony. But then a quiet voice in the back of his mind reminded him of his own mother's words, adjust your sails, son, and you can still navigate the storm. He inhaled and spoke slowly, I want to work with the community and be transparent. But I also want to ensure we don't spin our wheels before we even start. If that means aligning my vision with a clear structure, then I'm open to it. Camille nodded, a glimmer of respect in her eyes. That's all I'm asking for. Let us build that partnership on both dreams and frameworks. As the board members leaned closer, engaging in a flurry of discussions, Malik felt a wave of unexpected hope. Maybe this was the shift he hadn't even known he needed. Perhaps with Camille on his side, the project could become more than just hopeful words. Then, just as they were about to dive deeper into the conversation, Malik's phone buzzed loudly on the table, breaking the rhythm of the moment. He glanced at it. The screen lit up with a message from Malika, urgent. We need to meet. Please call when you get a chance. His stomach tightened. What could be so urgent? As the board continued their chatter, Malik's mind raced with questions. Was this message related to the meeting or something entirely different? With Camille's focus on strategies, could this urgent matter jeopardize the partnership already forming? He took a deep breath, realizing the path ahead was fraught with uncertainty. But for the first time, he felt ready to confront whatever was coming. What did Malika have to say that could change the course of his new alliance? Malik's heart thudded in his chest as he stared at the text. The board's conversation faded into the background, voices overlapping, words becoming distant echoes. He was torn between the excitement in the room and the dread mounting inside him. What did Malika want? Should he stay here, riding the wave of this unexpected alliance with Camille, or rush out to meet the urgency in Malika's message? He felt aware of the curious eyes on him, waiting expectantly for his reaction. Excuse me, he finally said, his voice cutting through the chatter. I need to take a quick call. Ignoring the puzzled looks, he stepped away from the table. He popped outside the conference room, the fluorescent lights humming behind him, and hit the call button. The phone rang just once before Malika's voice came through, laced with urgency and something else, fear, perhaps? Malik. I'm so glad you picked up. There's something you need to know. It's about the project. What's going on? Malik pressed, pushing down the rising panic within him. Remember the grant we were counting on? The one we thought was a sure thing? Malik nodded, even though she couldn't see him. That grant could be the lifeblood of his project, the first step to realizing his vision. What about it? It's been suspended indefinitely. There's been an investigation. I can't get into details right now, but it's serious. His throat constricted. Suspended? Why? I don't know, Malik. This is bigger than us. There are whispers of corruption and mismanagement, and I think they're trying to pin some of it on us. He felt the air leave his lungs. This wasn't merely a setback, this could shatter everything he'd built, the dreams, the hopes, the community he wanted to uplift. What do we do? Take a step back. Before you make any decisions about the board meeting, we need to gather more information. I'm sending you everything I have. Maybe we can fight this. Malik's mind scrambled as he processed her words. The board, Camille, everything felt precarious now. Okay, but if they discover that we're entangled in something that wasn't our doing? They won't know unless we give them reason to dig deeper. Stay calm and get your facts straight first. He ran a hand over his face, trying to quell the rising tide of fear and frustration. I need to give them an update on our progress or lack of it. How long until you have that information? I'll get back to you as soon as I can, she assured him. But Malik, don't let this throw you off. You're stronger than this. He couldn't help the small grin at her words. They were true, he had overcome so much. Thanks, Malika. I'll handle it. Hanging up, he took a moment to collect himself. He could almost hear the conversation inside the room, where new ideas about structure and strategy were swirling into something real. But how could he navigate that when his foundation was quaking beneath him? With a deep breath, he steeled himself and re-entered the conference room. Camille was at the center of attention, leading the discussion, her papers spread open like a map to success. While they spoke passionately about building the project, he felt the tension in his gut tighten. Would they still be willing to listen if they found out everything could fall apart? Malik? Laura called out, noticing his return. What's the update? He could feel Camille's gaze on him, steady and encouraging, but the weight of uncertainty hung heavily. We have some challenges that might affect our timeline, he replied cautiously, searching for the right words. I just received some urgent news. As the room fell silent, he knew he was at a crossroads. Would they still believe in him? In their vision? It was a risk to lay it all bare, but sometimes vulnerability could forge stronger connections. I think it's important that we address them now, he said, and felt Camille's presence like a steady flame beside him. The board members exchanged nervous glances. What do you mean? The skeptical man leaned forward, his expression a mixture of concern and expectation. Let me explain, Malik began, feeling a surge of resolve. It's time for honesty and transparency. My future and the project depend on it. Would they embrace the truth, or would it send them spiraling into doubt? He stole a glance at Camille, urging him with her eyes to break through. But little did he know that her help would become essential in a way he hadn't yet envisioned. As he spoke, the room shifted, preparing for a revelation no one expected. In the midst of turmoil, might he discover unexpected strength among them all? Malik inhaled deeply, the air thick with tension. He could feel every set of eyes fixed on him, each glance a mix of curiosity and caution. The truth was heavy in his chest, but it needed to be released. Our funding has been suspended due to an ongoing investigation, he said, his voice trembling slightly yet steady. They're looking into claims of mismanagement surrounding our grant. We might get caught in the fallout. A murmur rippled through the room, the weight of his words sinking in. He watched as a few heads nodded in understanding, while others wore expressions of disbelief. Camille remained attentive, her brow furrowed with concern, but she didn't pull her gaze away from him. The warmth in her eyes gave him the strength he needed. Is this something we can mitigate? Laura asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know. Malik shrugged, hands shaking slightly as he placed them on the table, grounding himself. The only thing we can do now is stay transparent and gather all the facts before we make any decisions. I just spoke with Malika, and she's working on finding more information. Are we in real danger? The skeptical man leaned back, tension coiling in his posture. We must consider the potential fallout. Danger? Malik echoed, trying to keep the flutter in his stomach from overtaking him. Yes, it's a possibility. But if we work together and focus on what we can control, then nothing is set in stone. I've faced challenges before, and we've always found a way through. Sheldon, one of the board members, cleared his throat and leaned in. But this isn't just business as usual, Malik. If the investigation implicates us, we could lose everything. The mention of loss hit Malik hard. Everything he had envisioned was teetering on the edge. His project wasn't merely a job, it was a promise to the community all around him. It was a lifeline for families who were struggling. How could he let this crumble now? I refuse to let fear dictate our future, he declared, raising his voice just enough to regain their attention. This project means too much. It already has the potential to bring actual change to our community. What we need now is to stand united and fight back. The murmurs began again, this time mixed with determination. He could see Camille nodding slightly, a spark of encouragement igniting in her eyes. It stirred something inside him, a sense of responsibility and resilience that pushed away his panic. I believe in the work we're doing, Malik continued, heart racing with renewed energy. Our community deserves this. And while this is a setback, it doesn't have to be the end. With the right strategy, we can turn this around. Together. He scanned the room, meeting the eyes of his teammates. Some still looked worried, but others held a glimmer of hope. Malika's voice echoed in his mind, "You're stronger than this." It wasn't the moment for doubt, it was a moment for resolve. Camille stood up, the intensity in her gaze matching his. If Malik believes we can do this, I believe we can. We'll need some elbow grease and a full strategy session, but we can outsmart this. A chorus of agreement rippled through the room. Then ideas began to flow, each member jumping in with their insights and expertise. The energy shifted, their earlier hesitance morphing into unity. Malik felt a weight lift. The spirit of collaboration was stronger than the fear trying to infiltrate their minds. Still, in the back of his mind, the lingering questions remained. Would the investigation uncover their own missteps? What would it mean for the future of the project? As plans began to form, each idea seemed like a sword to fight the looming darkness, but uncertainty was still a shadow hovering nearby. The meeting wrapped up with a palpable sense of urgency. Malik stepped outside, the voices of his team fading behind him. He felt the sunlight on his face, cool against the rising heat of his anxiety. It wasn't just the project he had to protect, it was a dream intertwined with many others. He pulled out his phone, fingers trembling as he scrolled through his messages. A new text notification blinked at him from Malika. His heart raced as he opened it. "I've got crucial information," it read. "Meet me ASAP." What did she know? Did it change everything? Malik's mind raced, and he took off toward the parking lot, anxious and hopeful all at once. What awaited him could alter the course of everything they worked for. He needed to know, and fast. Malik hurried through the parking lot, heart pounding with a cocktail of anxiety and anticipation. The car heaved slightly under his weight as he slid into the driver's seat, and the air felt thick with unspoken questions. What could Malika possibly have to share that could shift their fortunes? He clenched the steering wheel, pulling in a breath to steady himself. "Come on," he muttered, willing the engine to start faster. The familiar rumble came to life, and he peeled out, weaving through the traffic. Malika always had a way of uncovering hidden truths. He just had to believe in her instincts. Arriving a few minutes later at their designated meeting spot, an inconspicuous cafe tucked into a bustling street, he spotted her already sitting at a corner table. The shadows of the overhanging trees seemed to match the tension etched on her face as he approached. But even with the weight of the impending disaster, Malika was a grounded presence, her confidence glowing like a light in a storm. "Hey," Malik said, sliding into the seat across from her. "What is going on?" "Malik." She leaned in, lowering her voice. "You need to hear this. I've been going through our records," and she paused, searching his face for signs of readiness. "I found some discrepancies. A pattern." His stomach nodded. "What kind of pattern?" "Mismanagement claims," she said, her brow furrowing. "But not ours. There are other organizations involved in this funding who have real questions against them, and it looks like someone is trying to scapegoat us." Malik's heart pounded harder. "So, you're saying we're being framed?" "Exactly," Malika replied, her intensity fierce. "And if we can prove it, we can turn this entire narrative around. But we have to act fast." Malik felt like the ground beneath him shifted, hope igniting a flame he thought had waned. "What do we need to do?" "We need to gather all documentation related to our project financials, performance metrics, communication logs. Everything must be transparent. We can counter these claims with irrefutable evidence," she said, urgency clawing at her words. "But we must move quickly. The longer we wait, the worse the situation gets." "Okay, I can do that." He nodded, adrenaline surging. "I'll rally the team tonight and we will get started right away." Malika's eyes softened. "You can't do this alone, Malik. We have to ensure everyone is on the same page, and that they understand what's at stake. This isn't just about work, it's about the lives we're touching." "I know," he breathed, feeling the weight of their mission settle over him. "It's about the families who rely on us, the people who believe in our vision. We can't let this go down without a fight." As they spoke, the cafe buzzed with life around them. The clinking of cups, the laughter of families, and the chatter of friends felt like a stark contrast to the serious conversation they were having. But within that chaos, a plan began to form, one that could transform their fight against the dark tide. "Meet tonight at my place. We'll hash out a plan and share what we know," Malik offered, determination flooding through him. "Count me in," Malika said, her tone resolute. But there was something else lurking behind her eyes' disquiet. "Just remember, some people will do anything to protect their interests. Trust no one." As she said those words, tension wrapped around Malik's heart once again. Were their allies really allies after all? Driving back, his mind raced. Decisions loomed over him like heavy clouds, and the horizon was uncertain. The weight of what was at stake pressed down on him. Each heartbeat reverberated with the urgency of their situation. When he reached home, Malik felt the air crackle with potential. They had to be quick, strategic, smart. He glanced at his phone as he entered, the glow lighting up his anxious face. A flood of messages from team members began to populate the screen. He paused, heart leaping. They were all invested, ready to confront the odds. But was that enough? Would it be enough to turn the tide against the forces closing in? A final message dinged. One from Camille, "We're ready behind you, Malik. Let us take this fight on." He took a breath, the fire of resolve igniting further within him. But deep down, he knew that revealing the truth was just one part of the battle. The real conflict lay ahead, twisted in layers of deceit. He needed to prepare for whatever came next. His fingers hovered over the keyboard, and he typed a quick response: "We meet tonight. Bring everything. This is our moment." As he hit send, he felt the magnitude of their mission settle like a weight on his heart. Were they ready for the truth? Or would it push them further into a chaos he couldn't control? With the evening fast approaching, desperation and hope intertwined. They were on the brink of uncovering something big, but would it be a revelation or a reckoning? Malik felt the thrill of uncertainty course through him, and the question hung squarely in the air: what lay in wait for them in the shadows? The sun dipped low as Malik gathered with his team that night. The air felt electric with tension and anticipation. They congregated in his living room, seated around the table scattered with papers, data, project outlines, and the weight of their hopes. Malika arrived first, her eyes sharp with determination. "All right, Let us dig in, Malik said, feeling the urgency pulse through him. He could see the fire in their faces, a mix of fear, resolve, and the need to fight for what they had built. The group divided tasks quickly. They mapped out their timeline, prioritizing documentation. Malik led with passion, guiding discussions and ideas flowing like a river. Each voice added strength to their strategy, pushing the uncertainty further away. They were not just drafting a plan, they were preparing to reclaim their future, a fight for their vision. We can't let them paint us as the villains, Malik stated firmly. We need to find the discrepancies in their claims, expose the true culprits behind this investigation. We'll show them that we are the solution, not the problem. As they worked late into the evening, Malik felt pieces coming together, a renewed sense of purpose swelling within him. They were building something beautiful, not just a project. It was a movement, one grounded in community, integrity, and unbreakable bonds. Malika shot him a look, her expression serious yet soft. Remember, we're dealing with powerful forces. They're not likely to back down easily. We need to stay ahead. He nodded, the weight of her words pressing deep. The fight was embedded in the very fabric of who they were, and they could not waver now. They wrapped up for the night, minds buzzing, hearts synchronized. As they exited Malik's home, Malika lingered for a beat. You should reach out to your father, she urged gently. He might have insights or connections that could help. Malik's heart ached at the thought of facing his father. But the idea of reconciliation, heralded by the possibility of familial support, shimmered in the dark corners of his mind. Maybe it was time to bridge that gap. Maybe the healing could start now, woven through the fight they were undertaking. The next morning, he hesitated with his phone in hand. He could sense his father's presence lingering, the past heavy but also filled with hope. Taking a deep breath, he dialed the number, the rhythmic sound echoing like his heartbeat. Malik. The voice came through, a mix of surprise and caution. I didn't expect to hear from you. Dad, I need to talk, he replied, his voice steady despite the tremor inside. I'm in the middle of something big, a project that means the world to me, but we're facing some challenges. I could use your advice. Silence stretched between them, no longer filled with the weight of unspoken hurt but the possibility of understanding. What do you need, son? As Malik laid out the details, he could feel the old tensions ease. There was newfound respect in sharing not just the struggle, but the aspirations that had grown from it. His father listened intently, and when he spoke, it was filled with wisdom and support. You've always been driven. Just remember your roots. Let them guide you, his father advised. The conversation deepened their connection, healing some of the scars that had formed over years. Malik realized that his journey wasn't just his own anymore, it belonged to their entire family, a legacy carved from struggle and resilience. Later that week, the team met again, armed with new findings and a shared mission. They uncovered anomalies in funding linked to other players, revealing the audacity behind their predicament and intent to discredit and dismantle their efforts. Malik's heart soared as they compiled their evidence. This isn't just a battle for us, he said, feeling the fire within. This is for everyone who feels abandoned. We're fighting to lift our communities to levels we've only dreamed of. With every pressing urgency, they worked fervently, preparing for their next board meeting. On the day of the meeting, Malik stood before the boardroom. Confidence swirling to the surface. This was more than just a pitch, it was a declaration. As he relayed his findings, outlining the truth behind the false allegations, listeners leaned in one by one, skeptics began nodding in agreement. Laura, the lead investor, moved to the front, intrigued and conceding space for this revolutionary narrative Malik had crafted. The atmosphere crackled as Malik closed. This isn't just my vision. It's our community's vision. Together, we will change the narrative. After a brief deliberation, the atmosphere shifted entirely. Laura stepped forward, her smile genuine. I appreciate your transparency and dedication. We'd like to move forward together, invest in this project and root for its success. Cheers erupted as Malik felt the weight lift off his shoulders. They had battled through shadows to reach the light of possibilities together. Days turned into weeks as their project began to take form. The vision was blooming. Malik saw solar panels on roofs, families restored with empowered dignity, and struggle turning into strength. Still, the true transformation revealed itself in the community's spirit. Malik facilitated town hall meetings, allowing every voice to be heard, every concern acknowledged. Relationships flourished among the team and those they served. They weren't competitors, they had become family. At last, Malik looked out at the vibrant lives thriving from their efforts, linking arms with those who once struggled. He turned to find Malika at his side. "Can you believe this?" she said, a smile breaking across her face. "You've done it." A warm breeze tousled his hair as he felt at peace, the burdens of doubt replaced with a profound sense of belonging. They had risen from ashes to illuminate the path forward, a legacy unlike any other, and in that moment, he felt whole history rewoven, connections rebuilt, the echoes of his father's wisdom guiding him forward, step by step. Together, they would pioneer new horizons, redefining their futures, one dream at a time. As Malik looked at the faces surrounding him, family, friends, community, he knew that this wasn't an ending. It was just the beginning of a brighter tomorrow. So, hold on to your dreams, and remember, every setback is a stepping stone to greatness. Embrace it, share it, and lift each other up. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment with your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to support the channel. True fans understand the importance of these actions. Don't wait not even one more second to share.